Hey, what's up, you guys? WWE Fan 0599 here again, and welcome back to WWE Fans TV Recap Show. And today's recap show will be for Arrow. So, this week's episode of Arrow is entitled Restoration. I believe that's how you pronounce that. So, yeah. Now, before we get into this episode, of course, spoiler warning, because there will be spoilers in this review. But if you have seen the episode, if you just don't care about spoilers, continue on watching. So, yeah. So, what this episode is basically about, it's about, Damien Dark sends this guy called Double Down to come and try to basically kill the Green Arrow. So now Oliver and Diggle basically have to try and find this guy and take him down. So yeah. So what did I think of this week's episode? Really good episode. I really enjoyed this episode. This was another really good episode from Arrow. So yeah. So let's get into my positives. And my positives are the acting with the episode. The acting is really good with this episode. I thought everybody did a nice job in this episode. But the acting from everybody was really good in my opinion. Everybody did a really nice job in this episode. So yeah, thought everybody was really good. Stephen Amell, of course, as Oliver, he was great. Thought he did a great job in this episode. Diggle, David Ramsey as John Diggle, he's great as well. I really enjoyed him. He was great in the episode as well. He did a great job. Everyone was really great in this episode. I thought everybody did a nice job. The acting overall was great from everybody. So yeah, the action, this episode, the action was awesome. The action was really well filmed in my opinion. I thought it was really well filmed. The fight scene between Double Down and Arrow, that was probably the best fight scene of the episode. I really enjoyed that. So yeah, the action was really good in this episode. That was really well filmed. So yeah. The writing with the episode, the writing was really good with this episode. Some great writing. Really thought the writing was really good with this episode, so yeah. The directing was really good as well with the episode. Some pretty nice directing in my opinion, I thought. Had some nice directing with the episode, so yeah. So let's get into some moments in the episode, because there were a lot of moments in this episode that I do want to talk about. First, when you see Laurel and, Thea go to Nana Parpar, I think I'm pronouncing it right. And they see Malcolm and Nessa. First time we've seen them in the season so far. And, Laurel's like, can you help bring my sister back to life? And Malcolm's like, no. And Nessa, is like, your sister's dead. I've accepted it, so you please accept it. So, yeah. Basically he says no, whatever. So, yeah. Then, the fight scene between Green Arrow and Double Down, that was really cool, really well filmed in my opinion, when you see him, just throwing the cards and Arrow's, blocking them with arrows, even swinging the bow and arrow a few times. That was really cool. Really well filmed fight scene. I thought that was, very good. I think, even Oliver tripped and fell into the boxes. That was, the stands, that was actually pretty funny. He just goes like, whoa! That fight scene was really good. I really liked that. So yeah. When Malcolm tells Thea that there's a man up in the mountains that knows how to do sorcery and magic, and maybe he can help you. You know who he's talking about. He's talking about my boy. He's talking about Constantine, man. You know exactly who he's talking about when he says, I know a man that lives in the mountains that knows about magic and basically mystical stuff. You know he's talking about Constantine. So that was really a really nice kind of Easter egg in a way. So I noticed that. That was really cool. So yeah, I like that. Oliver. Now Diggle is finally no longer butthurt at Oliver, so that's great. I'm glad to see that he's no longer butthurt about him. Listen, I get it. Oliver kidnapped his wife and his child, but he had to do it for a reason. He had to make Ra's al Ghul trust him, okay? So Diggle should at least understand that in some ways. So yeah, but finally, they're a team again. They're partners. So yeah, I'm glad to see that. Finally, they're no longer going to argue with each other. So yeah. And then when you see Thea back at Nana Parpar, and she kills 3 people, and Malcolm's like, I helped you with your thirst for killing this week, so you won't have it for another few weeks. And Thea's like, oh, you monster, blah, 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 blah. Why would you do this to me? Yada, yada, yada. Laura, we're leaving. And then Malcolm's like, no, I might actually stay because I'm going to help you bring back your sister. And what do? They're going to try and bring back Sarah. And you see, the ritual and everything that they're doing. They're putting Sarah in the Lazarus pit, and it's crazy. And, Sarah's back. She's alive and everything. And then she starts going crazy, and it's not herself right now. She's not herself at this moment, and you see that. So, yeah. When Oliver and Diggle try and go and find Double Down, I really enjoyed that final fight scene. Because there was actually a pretty funny moment, like, Diggle was like, you took a bullet from me, Oliver, and Oliver's like, well, more like I took a playing card for you, but still, and Diggle's like, same thing. So, I thought that was pretty funny, and yeah, they took down Double Down, liked seeing that, so yeah. And then at the end of the episode, we see that Laurel and Thea and Malcolm, they see Sarah, and she's basically gone crazy because, the Lazarus pit makes you change a bit. And, we hear that a disturbance warning is coming, like one of the guys warns them about something. And we see that Nessa destroyed the Lazarus pit. Great! So now, she's like, when I take your head off, Malcolm, you're not going to be able to come back alive. So, she destroyed the Lazarus pit. And so, yeah, that should be interesting to see. So, yeah. I do have a few negatives with this episode, however. My first negative is that this whole thing with this woman, that hired Deadshot to kill Diggle's brother, I don't like the fact that she was a one-and-done thing. What is it? Not Malcolm, I'm sorry. Damien Dark kills her. I'm like, really? This could have been a really interesting plot thing. Really interesting thing of Diggle trying to get answers. And it was just a one-done thing. I think they could have done more with that. And I feel like that was just kind of thrown in. It feels like a thrown-in thing. It was a wasted opportunity. So, yeah. The flashbacks were very disinteresting, in my opinion. I was very bored when we were at the flashbacks. So, yeah. And Thea was just a bit annoying in this episode. I thought Thea was just a bit annoying in this episode, so yeah. But overall, this episode was a really good episode. I still really enjoyed this week's episode of Arrow. Still a really good episode, so yeah. So it's time for my official grade on this episode, and my official grade on this episode is a B+. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a very good episode. I really enjoyed this week's episode of Arrow, so yeah. So what do you guys think of this week's episode? Leave in the comment section below, and I'm WWE Fan 0599, and we will see you all later. Peace.